What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the show. My name is Zen, and this is our second book review. Now, I want to admit, the first review was kind of long. It was like 30 minutes, so this time I'm doing things a little different. I'm going to take the review itself and chop it up into different sections, right? Now, for this review, what are we looking at? I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. This is my go-to personal finance Bible, right? I read the first edition many moons ago, and this edition came out in February 2019. The second book is very similar in format, still a 6-week program that walks you through your personal finance, build a foundation, and then gets you on the right path. And then he does say that he makes 3 major mistakes from the first book to the second book, and he touches upon them in the open letter, right? The first one, not considering that people may have different emotional ties and relations with money, and particularly debt, right? Also, people may have different definitions of what's called a rich life, like mine may differ from yours or Ramit's. And then finally, in the first edition, he recommended bank accounts with specific interest rates back in 2009. And now in 2021, a lot of things have changed, right? It's been like 12 years since the first book came out. So he remedied those mistakes in this second edition. He addresses them. And he opens up this book mainly with the same question to readers, right? Would you rather be sexy or would you rather be rich? And then the idea behind that is like, okay, sexy is like you're making a lot of money off of, say, becoming social media famous, or making money on stocks, right? Like GME to the moon. That's sexy. Rich follows a beaten path of personal finance advice, right? You work, you get a job, you work, you save X amount, you invest smartly, you optimize everything. Ramit really likes automation. We'll talk about that. But then from here, he poses the question to help you decide. It's like, okay, do you want to go down this path and try to make it rich by doing the sexy things, or just follow the beaten path and actually, for sure, make it rich? It's just you need patience to get there. Key messages of the book include that you don't have to be perfect at this personal finance game. What's important is to just get started, right? Everybody makes mistakes, myself included. And also, you want to look deep down and identify 2 things, right? What is it that you want? Like, what kind of rich life do you want and why? But also, you got to consider, on the other end, inside here, your mental game. Like, okay, what kind of things could be holding you back mentally? These kind of invisible money scripts, if you will, that could be preventing you from saving more, from paying off your credit card debt, etc. And then Ramit breaks down his book into 6 different sections, right? So first of all, you're looking at credit cards and debt. Second of all, you're looking at your bank accounts, which is your foundation. Third is where, in my opinion, the favorite, investing. Fourth is conscious spending, as he calls it, spending things on things you really care about, and then cutting back on things you don't care about. And then number 5, automation. But he really focuses on this automation, driving so that you take a couple hours a year, set it up, and you don't even look at it. And then finally, the last section is investing. Outside of just investing in stocks, you could invest in other things like maybe real estate, etc., etc. So jumping right into it, let's talk credit cards, right? So Americans overall have a substantial amount of credit card debt. I think LendingTree puts that at $900 billion. Anyways, it averages out to around $3,000 of credit card debt per American, and that contrasts sharply with the $1,000 savings the average American has, right? So $3,000 of credit card debt, $1,000 of savings, and that's even before we get into the average $37,000 of student loan debt. And what's worse than all of this physical, like money debt, is the emotional aspects behind it, right? The fear, the anxiety, the embarrassment, right? Talking about people's finances has become almost taboo. Like talking about weight, it's like, oh, why are you still fat? Why aren't you losing weight? Or why are you still broke? Why aren't you paying off debt? That's taboo. You can't talk about those kind of things, right? But then it's things that we need to talk about. And it's a very common mindset I see, where you're just like, I'm not going to deal with this now, I'm going to deal with it later. And it just gets worse later and later and later. You push it down. The future you is not going to thank current you. Now, Ramit starts your journey off with having you pull your credit report to get your credit score, right? You could do this through either Credit Karma for free or MyFICO. You pay a fee for it. But you could do this once a year and get your credit report pulled to get your credit score, right? And credit scores range from 300 to 850. 300 for breathing, 850 if you're a personal finance wizard. I'm nowhere near 850, but I'm a lot closer to it than 300. And you break down your credit score into think it was like 5 sections. The first one is the biggest slice of this pie. So about a little bit more than a third, 35% of it is your credit payment. Basically how often and if you pay on time, right? So ideally, if you have no credit card debt, you're paying off your balance in full every month. So you're not carrying a balance into the next month. The next section, 30% of it, is your credit utilization. What does this mean? This means if you have one card that has a limit of $2,000 and you're using $2,000, that's 100% utilization. That's horrible. Your credit score is going to tank. If you're only using $1,000, that's half. That's 50%. It's going to get better, right? So the key thing here is don't use too much credit, and then ultimately see if you can bump up your limit. That gives you more to pull from. The less you use, the better your score. After that, 15%, we're looking at your credit history, right? If you have a card, keep it open. Just put something small on it, Spotify, Netflix, Hulu, whatever, pay it off every month, but keep that line of credit open. Even if you made the horrible mistake of getting a retail card, like a Best Buy or Macy's card, keep it open. So keep lines of credit open. That's 15%. 10% is newer credit, right? So if you apply for loans or like maybe you're moving somewhere and they pull your history, etc. And then another 10%, the final 10%, is basically different types of credit. Credit card, student loan, mortgage, personal loans, etc. Now, why does all this matter? So think about it this way. The higher your score, the lower interest rates you can get. And the lower interest rates you can get, the lower interest you actually pay on big purchases like a car or a home. Conversely, if you get a low credit score, you get really high interest rates. And what does that mean? That means you pay a lot of money on interest for cars and homes. Make sense? The lower your interest rates, the more you save in the long term. Tens of thousands of dollars. Future you will thank you. Now let's start with improving that credit. Now Ramit starts off with whenever you are getting a card, any offers you get in the mail for any Best Buy, Macy's, any like whatever credit cards, go ahead and burn those, right? You want to be looking at, I like NerdWallet, Ramit likes Bankrate. You go there and you go online and you pick exactly what you're looking for, right? You look at the features. If there are any fees, there shouldn't be, right? And if there's any, like, I like cashback cards, like at Costco, or if you travel a lot, you can get points for every hotel flight or dining out you pay for, right? Rental cars, etc. The idea is you want to squeeze every benefit out of these cards, but you got to start off with picking a good one that fits your life. Now, Ramit also gives you 6 credit card commandments, right? Thou shalt pay your card off in full every month. You also want to get your fees waived, negotiate lower APRs. You want to keep those cards forever, right? You want to ask for a credit increase, critical. And then also you want to squeeze every benefit out of it, right? So again, for the first one, paying it off is important to 35% of your credit score. Pay it off every month as you can. If you have a large debt, aggressively pay those things off. Getting fees waived is more for like the lower, if you have like a lot of travel cards have fees, you could call your card company, let them know, hey, take this fee off, right? Negotiating lower APR, say if you're looking to pay off a lot of debt, you could call them, I'm looking to aggressively pay this debt down, give me a lower APR. Even from 25 to 20% is going to save you hundreds if not thousands of dollars. Number 4 is keeping your cards longer, right? That ties into another one, 15% of your score. And then keep them open as long as you can, just forever, right? That's going to help you. Number 5, increasing that credit limit. What does that mean? You remember we talked about 30% of that is your credit utilization. Every year you should be calling, hey, give me this credit increase, right? I'm going to be making a big purchase and I need this extra credit. And then finally, squeeze every benefit of it. Credit cards can help consumers a lot, right? You could get, when you rent a car, you could get that warranty. Or when, pre-COVID times, you could get concert tickets, etc. Right? But not only that, but it's also great consumer protection. If you get your debit card stolen, and then whatever money you have in that account, that's gone. Good luck getting that back. If you get your credit card stolen, you can call, you can cancel it, you can get a new one the next day, and if you make any purchases, they'll refund that back to you. Even better if you have automated payments for like utilities, and then your utility companies act up, your credit card company could fight them for you. Right? Great consumer protection. Now, ideally, you start every month with no payments. If you do miss a payment, give them a call. Hey, I'm not perfect. This won't happen again. Take this fee off or what have you, or APR percent bump. Just negotiate You're the customer here. Don't forget that. Now, going back to the $3,000 average credit card debt and $1,000 savings, but why is it that so many people just have trouble actually paying off this credit card debt? Now, again, this going back to these invisible scripts, right? A lot of people have these kind of deep-rooted beliefs. They either they love playing victim. Oh, they give me these super high interest rates. Nobody told you to buy all that stupid crap, right? Or just kicking it down the road to future you. Future you has a lot more debt than current you, and in future you is going to be in a lot tougher situation than current you. So do future you a favor and start paying things down now, right? Or even worse is that they don't, the mental association between just the credit card. You just swipe, and then before you know it, you're 20 grand in debt. You're like, how did this happen, right? It's like, well, you didn't pay attention. So there's a lot of invisible money scripts you kind of got to work with. Ideally, Ramit breaks this down into the steps of paying off your credit card debt. The first step is really understanding just how much it is you owe, right? Getting an understanding of your current situation. How much do you owe and what is that interest rate? And this applies to both credit card debt and also student loan debt, right? I recently learned there's two things. There's like subsidized, which I think has no interest rate, and unsubsidized student loans, which has like a certain interest rate. So once you understand how much debt you have, let's say 3,000 credit cards and 37,000 student loan for a total of 40,000, right? The next thing to pick is which one are you paying off first? Two schools of thought. You got to pay off this lower balance, the 3,000, or you could pay off the higher interest, which also turns out to be the credit card. So let's say you decide you want to pay off this credit card debt first, and it's at like 25% APR. The next step, once you've tallied up how much you owe and what the interest rates are, and then once you've decided which one you're going to pay off first, is you give that credit card company a call and be like, hey, every extra cent I have is going to this debt. I want you to give me a lower interest rate to help me out. You gotta be firm. You're the customer here. Be confident what you're asking for. Be a little demanding. Just a little. Now, after you negotiate, then it's just figuring out where this money is coming from. You're gonna get a part-time job. You're gonna sell things off. You're gonna, whatever. Somehow you're just gonna figure out where you're gonna get this money. Even if it's just your current job, you could cut back on costs and spending, and the extra money could go towards that debt, right? So again, how much you owe, which one you're gonna pay off first, negotiating a lower APR, deciding where this money is coming from, and the fifth one's easy. Just get started, right? You're paying off this credit card debt, paying off the student loan debt. Just get started and knocking that down. So that about sums it up for a credit card. It's not rocket science, right? Ideally, Ramit starts you off with getting your credit report pulled so you can know your credit score. Again, Credit Karma or MyFICO. And then from there, it's if you have a substantial amount of debt, be it credit card or student loan debt, first of all, knowing how much debt you owe, what those interest rates are, figuring out which one you want to pay off, either the smaller balance or the highest interest rate. Both could be just the credit card debt. After that, it's calling and negotiating a lower percent interest rate, your APR, right? Even a 25 to 20% reduction could save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. After that, deciding where the money is coming from, you're going to get an extra part-time job, you're going to sell things, you're going to cut costs, you're going to figure it out. Or it could just be taking more from what you earn and putting it towards this. And finally, getting started paying off that debt. Right? After you start attacking this debt, you could work on also in tandem for assessing your current credit card situation. How many cards do you have now? The balances and credit limits for each, and the percentages. Right? And then from there, deciding if you want to open up new cards that more align with your priorities in your life. Again, the 6 credit card commandments, you're paying it off in every month. You're getting any kind of fees you have on it waived is a call. You're negotiating a lower APR, right? That's number 3. You're keeping your cards forever. You're going to increase your credit limit. All of this is going to help your score. And then finally, you're going to milk it for benefits. So the homework I have for you guys for after watching this video is take a look. If you have credit cards, how many you have, how much debt you have on it, how much credit limit you have, those interest rates, what they are. If you have a lot of debt, which one you're going to pay off first, how you're going to pay it, right? And then if you're looking for a card, go on NerdWallet, go on Bankrate, and compare for things that match your life. And then in the next section, we'll be talking about banks. Bank accounts, checking and savings. But until then, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.